What is up, YouTube? Desmond here, Ecoast Arb, and I'm hiding behind Seller Amp. Let me pull myself around here. Desmond here, Ecoast Arb, and today I am going to do a quick little video on how to read a Keepa chart and some of the things that I look for when I'm sourcing. So I just pulled up just a random listing I found on Amazon. I put in a couple Keepa filters to try to find some good examples for this video, and I felt like this one was one. So we're going to come down here to our Keepa graph, and if you don't already use Keepa, go ahead and buy that because that is essential for your Amazon business. And it's not expensive. I think it's like $200 a year. It's well worth the money. If you use it like it's supposed to be used, you will definitely make that back in a month if you know what you're looking at. So if you don't already do that, please go ahead and subscribe to the paid Keepa subscription. And I'm going to put a affiliate in the bio of this video. So if you haven't already subscribe through that link. It'll help me out a little bit, and it doesn't cost you any extra. So that would be awesome. But here's what we got. And I will show you. Let me turn off everything I've got here, and we'll go over them one by one. And I typically don't even use this middle chart. Sometimes it's good to look at and to compare, but for the most part, I don't use this. So we got a lot of options that we can turn on here in our Keepa graphs, and we'll go through them one by one. So first we have our sales rank. You should always have that turned on. And if you don't know what sales rank is, it's a rank that Amazon gives a product that basically lets you know how this product is selling in comparison to other products in the same category. And the lower the rank, the faster the sales are. So lower ranks better, higher ranks not as good. A lot of people have certain thresholds that they like to go by. I typically stay under about 180,000. It definitely depends on the category. That's not category wide by any means, but sometimes there's some slower moving opportunities that have a lot higher ROIs and a lot less competition. So don't limit yourself to just sales ranks under 100K or something like that. But always going to have that one turned on. And then the next one we've got here is the buy box, and we're always going to have this one turned on as well. This is super important in reading how stable a product is and how consistent the price is, which is super useful when we're sourcing. You can see our current buy box on this one is about $28.50. And if you look back over time, you can see that this product is fairly stable. I typically keep my Keepa on the 3-month when I'm when I first click in, it defaults to 3 months, which is a good snapshot of how a product's been selling recently. Before I buy stuff, I always back out to the year to see, and you can see here like a lot of stuff changes when you back out to the year. But when you're sourcing, if something like this has been stable for 3 months, chances are it's going to continue being stable unless it's given a reason not to. And we'll get into that a little bit later into this video. So your buy box is super important, and you want to look for some stability. You're not often going to find too many products with a flatline buy box. Most of those are private label or some brand selling, stuff like that. So it's good to see some fluctuation. But overall, you can see this one kind of hovers around that $30 mark, $28 to $30 mark. And of course, you got some offers a little lower, some 26s, and you got some stuff a little higher, 29, 33 there for a second. But we would kind of consider this an average this out a little bit to roughly 29 to 30 bucks. Okay, the next one we're going to have turned on all the time is Amazon. And you can see it actually doesn't pop up on this one, which is good, but we'll come back here to when it did. So if Amazon is selling a product, you're going to see it show up here with this yellow shading, and that means Amazon is in stock and they are actively selling that product. Now, typically, this is something we want to shy away from. It's not always the case. There are definitely some opportunities where you can compete with Amazon, and I hate using the word compete because it's not you competing with Amazon. It's Amazon giving you the sale because they control it, basically. But there are some decent opportunities out there where you can sell alongside with Amazon and make a good profit. But generally speaking, and especially if you are new to Amazon selling, I would avoid any listing that has Amazon on it at all costs, at least until you get a better understanding of how everything works. The next filter we have here is the new, and I don't typically leave this one on, or sometimes I'll have it on, but I don't pay much attention to it. And that's going to be your lowest third party price. So the lowest price we've gotten here looks like $28.50, and I'm not sure why we're showing $23.96 there, because it is free delivery. So maybe somebody was on here a little lower and they dropped off. I'm not really sure, but I don't typically pay a ton of attention to this. It is useful sometimes, especially if this line mimics the buy box or stays pretty close to it. That's a good thing. That means you don't have anybody coming in at a super low price. But it's also not always accurate. As you can see here, it's showing about 24 bucks when our lowest offer is definitely $28.49 here. So next filter we've got is the new third-party FBA, and that one is one I do like to keep turned on and pay a little bit of attention to. Now, a lot of people get confused here and think that these triangles equal sales. That is not the case. That's not what these triangles indicate. The triangles actually indicate the lowest third-party price for an FBA. Now, this is the triangles, the red ones here. That's going to be your lowest FBA offer. And not sure why these are popping up on this particular one, because I think it's meltable. Yeah, it is. So maybe there was some people that still had some inventory back here, but overall, going forward, these should not appear on this particular chart. But we can go back and come back into maybe the cooler months here, and you can see that fluctuates quite a bit, but it's also a good thing to look at. And again, if you see some stability between that and the buy box, that's a really good thing to look for. Next thing we've got here is your new third-party FBM, and these are going to be blue squares. And these are exactly the same, but this is going to be your lowest FBM offer. So it's really good I usually keep that clicked on. I do have some FBM opportunities that I cash in on from time to time. So it's good to see that, especially you can see here, typically the FBM offers are going to be a hair lower than the FBA. The next one we've got here is list price. That's not really important. It's not one I keep turned on, and it doesn't really matter much. Even if a product was listed at a price, it could be selling much higher or much lower than that list price. So in my experience, it typically is irrelevant to what we're trying to do. So you can keep that one turned off. We do have an eBay new filter here, but again, that's not relevant to what we're doing on Amazon, so I keep that one turned off. We've got our sub rank chart here, and like I said, I don't typically pay a ton of attention to this. It is a good little boost to see this chart mimicking our original sales rank here. When you can see these two doing the same kind of things, that's a good indicator that the data is correct. If you see your actual sales rank up here doing something and your sub rank's doing something significantly different, that could be a little bit of a flag. But you can see here they pretty much mimic each other on this, so that's a pretty good sign. And turn on some of my stuff again here. Also, I forgot to mention, if you look over here, some of these filters have a little shipping truck on them, and what that means is that the price that it is using includes shipping. So for example, this buy box price, what it's showing you includes shipping. So you can see if we have a FBM offer here in the buy box and they do charge shipping, some people do, some people don't, but if they do, this FBA buy box line is going to add that into the buy box price. And You can see that that doesn't happen for FBA. Obviously, we don't have shipping involved with FBA offers, but you can see the FBM new third party does include shipping price. Coming down to our bottom chart here, this is one you want to have turned on all the time and pay super good attention to. You got a ratings filter here, which is really good to see. You want to typically see some good ratings. You don't want to sell products with bad ratings. That could bring you into some return issues. No ratings aren't always a bad thing. Some products just typically don't get as many ratings as others. It's just kind of a case by case thing, but you always want to have it turned on and pay attention to it. Um, Also, the review count is something that you definitely want to have turned on, and that's a good indicator of some sales when you can see that review count coming up here. And like we'll zoom in here, so you can see into April here we had 3,083 reviews on this, and pushing forward to today we have 3,090. So our review count did go up. Now, not by much, but it's also important to remember that not everybody that buys a product is going to write a review. So just because it's not getting a ton of reviews does not mean it's not selling a ton. It's just another thing that goes into this whole picture. We're painting the entire picture here. We can't look at one specific component of this. This Keepa chart is designed to use in conjunction together. You want to look at everything as a big picture here, and that's really the key to finding good profitable products that you can keep in your catalog over the long term. Our new offer count tab here is something we always want to have turned on as well, and that's going to show you how many new offers or how many people are selling a product, and that is super important to know because price is typically driven by supply and demand. So you can see we're pretty stable here, which is good. A lot of times this new offer count line and the buy box line will kind of inverse each other. So when the seller count starts going down, typically the price starts going up a hair. Now, not always. This is not a rule that is across every ASIN or anything like that. But a lot of times they kind of inverse each other. And you can see here, buy box has been really stable on this product, even through some of these higher seller counts. We were up in the 40s at one point here, and even just a little over 40 at one point, and that buy box stayed pretty consistent. So really good product here, and it's not affected a ton by 42 sellers at one point. But that doesn't necessarily mean that next time it reaches 42 it will stay that way, but it's all about risk management and really looking into the data and making good decisions. And that's also why it's important to test buy everything you buy. Don't go super deep on a product unless you've test bought it and know that it sells well. And also this could go back to 40, and it really only takes one or two sellers in the mix to tank a product, which is basically when the price goes way down and is no longer profitable. And so don't be that person, especially when there's a lot of sellers on an ASIN. It only takes one person to come in at a lower level to get that repricer war going all the way down to the bottom, and that doesn't help anybody. So don't be that person. I think that is everything as far as the filters go, and we can look at this one. And like I said, super stable product here. It is a meltable, so it wouldn't be something I would be sourcing right now coming into summertime, but that's just my preference. And I've actually got another example for you here to show you some of the tanking and how the seller count can inverse with that buy box. And hopefully you didn't buy any of these. There was a big sell on these a couple months ago, I think, and fortunately I didn't buy this particular one. But you can see here when that seller count starts going up, that buy box starts going down, and that's just something once it starts happening, it's really hard to stop it. That's also why it's important to back out on your Keepas. So if we were zoomed into 1 month here, we would look at this and say, wow, this is a pretty stable product. It might be a good one to buy. And if it's still profitable at this buy box, it may. But if we back out a little bit, we can see that it used to sell for a lot higher. So right now we've recovered just a little bit. We're buy boxing about 32 bucks, but at our lowest here we were about $28. And you can see before this seller count rose way up, we were up here in the 40s. So basically in the span of a couple weeks, we went from 40 all the way down to 20, just under 28. And also at the same time frame, our seller count went from 10 all the way up to almost 100. So that goes back to that supply and demand thing. If there's too much supply and not enough demand, inevitably that price is going to start falling. So keep a look at stuff like that when you're sourcing. And you can also, I like to look back in time over a Keepa chart, and you can see this product had a really big spike in seller counts here too as well. So this could be a sale that happens more than once a year. Looks like they have maybe a Christmas sale right here, looking at our time frame right around December, and then maybe a spring sale. And we can come back even further and see that over the past couple of years, this product has gone through this exact kind of scenario where it was nice and stable and happy, and then a lot of new sellers jumped on and tanked the price every single time it's happened when that seller count jumps up. So that's something you can look for when you're trying to avoid going through this scenario. If a product like this has been through this scenario, it's been down this road several times before, chances are it's going to continue to do that. So make sure you're looking back over time into your Keepa charts. And you can find a lot of other cool stuff doing that too. You can find some seasonal stuff, and just make sure you're paying attention to what month things happen. You can start to see patterns and stuff like that. But I think that's about it as far as reading the Keepa graph itself. Now this is just a quick basic video for you, but I'll probably do a couple more videos going a little more in depth on some of these other tabs, the tracking and the data tabs and things like that. But that's going to be it for this one. So if you stayed to the end, thanks a lot. I definitely appreciate everybody watching these videos. And if you got any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to help anybody that I can. And if you don't already subscribe to me. Give me a like, a comment, something. Help me push this content a little further out and help some other Amazon sellers. Once again, this is Desmond, Ecos Arb, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.